Welcome everybody to today's session. So basically today's session is all about CV and resume writing. So basically the Afri Youth Impact program is just for young persons who are interested in changing their life, career-wise, personal-wise, career-wise, professional-wise. Yes. As long as you're somebody that wants to make a difference, that wants to see changes in their life, that wants to be able to make impact in the world, this is the program for you. It's a program that will teach you, that will expose you to opportunities, not just one, but several opportunities. And if you take the chance, you'd most definitely hit your targets. Let me use that word. So I welcome everybody. As a young person, you're on this call, you are definitely in the right place. So if you have a friend that's supposed to be in this session but is not here right now, please share the link, tell them to join. Okay, so Gisado is a dynamic human resource professional and people strategist with over 6 years of experience spanning health and wellness, financial services, fintech, and supply chain and logistics. She currently serves as the HR manager at a leading chemical supply chain company, where she drives initiatives that strengthens talent, management, organizational culture, and employee engagement. She is a certified associate member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria and holder of an HR practitioner license. This has built a strong reputation for translating HR data into actionable insights that enhance workforce efficiency and business performance. Her core expertise covers HR business partnering, talent acquisition, performance management, learning and development, and HR policy design. She holds a Bachelor's of Science degree from the University of Ibadan, Nigeria, and is currently pursuing a master's in International Human Resource Management at Rome Business School, Italy. Throughout her career, Gis has led strategic HR initiatives that improved employees' retention, enhanced engagement scores, and streamlined recruiting processes across multiple business functions. She is passionate about helping individuals and organizations thrive by bridging the gap between people, strategy, and business success. So, who again, if not her, as the best person to lead us in today's session? So, let's continue. Gift is also deeply committed to professional development and mentorship, having designed and implemented mentorship and learning programs that support career growth and leadership development for young professionals. Beyond her professional life, she's happily married and enjoying meditating as a form of relaxation and mindfulness. Okay, let's welcome Miss Gift, Mrs. Gift, my friend, Mrs. Gift, to today's program. Welcome, ma. We really, really appreciate your presence here with us, and we know that this session is going to be much more amazing.
Hi everyone, good evening. My name is Dado. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a privilege to speak with you guys on what I'm passionate about. And I hope we are able to learn one or two from this session. Just before we start this session, I would like to know my audience. Though it has been communicated to me that majority of people that are on this call are mostly fresh graduates, students who are still in school, if I'm correct. So if you can just quickly drop in the chat box where you're listening from. If you're a student, what level are you in? If you're a fresh graduate, are you currently serving? I would just want to know where the stages that all of us are, so that I'm able to tailor the conversation the right way. So if you don't mind, I'll be in the chat box. I'll be reading. Fresh graduate on those states. That's Victor. Okay. Victor, are you currently serving or you're looking for a job?
Actually, just recent graduate. I just graduated last week.
Okay. All right. Thank you. New Lua says 400 level geology. Okay. Currently serving Medjugorje. Fresh graduate from Oyo State. final year student, 200 level linguistics. Okay, great. It's good to have everyone on this course. So I'll just dive in straight away into my presentation slide. I have been invited to speak on the modern CV or resume that employers want. And I will be speaking more on the strategies to help you stand out in today's competitive job market. Right. I know that there is a lot of notion that, oh, there is no job out there. But the true reality is that there are a lot of jobs out there. But it's a question of, are you rightly positioned to secure the jobs out there? Right? Can your CV, right, put you in front of the right people? So that's basically the questions that you'll be asking. So I am hoping that at the end of this session, we will be able to identify at least 5 key elements of a modern CV or resume, and also you being able to craft your CV in such a way that it is ATS friendly, right? By ATS, I mean applicant tracking system, right? I'm hoping that at the end of this session, you're able to actually analyze and critique your own CV. You're able to identify common mistakes in formatting, in content, in grammar, or even the structure, right? And you're also able to then revise your CV. You're able to then craft your CV. You're able to use quantifiable results. You are able to draft a CV that can actually get you an interview, basically. Yes, and also for those that are still in school, I'm hoping that this session will be like a booster for you to actually then plan actions to strengthen your CV profile, right? i.e. you're building your portfolio. So first, on today's agenda is, the first question I believe is on your heart, right? Is, why does creating a winning CV matter? Why does creating a winning resume matter, right? I know that there was a poll that was earlier shared asking about what does am I still audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. I know there was a poll shared earlier about what's the difference between CV and resume. So I think maybe we might want to start from there. So can someone unmute? This session will be as interactive as possible. I'm not here to encode lectures, right? I want it to be as interactive because it is when I'm able to hear your thought process, your mindset. That's when I'm able to correct, maybe if there are certain notions that need to be corrected, or you can also help me. We are all learning, basically, right? And I also have some senior friends on this call who are also ready to answer any questions. If you have any questions, right? Beyond me, so I'm not just only the one talking, basically, right? So who wants to talk? What do you understand by CV? What do you understand by resume? Do we even have a CV or resume? Maybe we should even start from there. Do we have a CV or resume? Please, I will be needing your help to have this session. So please just quickly drop it on the chat box. I'll be reading from there. Do we have a CV or resume? What's your understanding of CV? I just want someone to maybe someone can unmute and talk about their understanding of CV and resume. Okay, who is Victor? Victor wants to talk. Please go ahead.
All right. Thank you, ma, for the question. So, to my own best of understanding or best of knowledge, I believe CV which is from Latin word curriculum vitae, means just like should I say, the course of our professional journey, academic journey, perhaps. it's more broad anyway, more like 2 to 5 pages perhaps. Then resume is more concise, at least 2 pages max.
Okay. Thank you, Victor. You're very correct. Do you have a CV or resume?
Although I did one that was yesterday, but I think with the help of today's webinar, I'll be able to maybe do some corrections on it.
Okay. All right, great. So Victor is very correct. So CV, curriculum vitae, right, is typically longer and is more comprehensive. Comprehensive in the sense that it includes a detailed account of your academic and professional achievement. So the purpose of CV basically is used for academic research or fellowship applications, or in certain industries like medicine, law, or academia, right? But for resume is more concise. The purpose is actually majorly for job applications, right? So you don't want to send in your job application and a recruiter is sitting in front of 5 pages long CV, 6 pages long CV, especially if you don't even have a work experience. I mean, you don't have a work experience in the sense that you're fresh out of school. So I don't see why you should have a 5 page long CV resume, right? So ideally, it should be like a 1 page resume. So I hope that clarifies the argument on what CV is and what resume is. So yeah, so why does creating a winning CV matter, right? I talked earlier about how that the job market of today is very, very competitive. And what you see is that it's also highly saturated, right? There are large pool of applicants competing for limited job opportunities. Yes, day by day, you can see a lot of new businesses springing up. There are startup coming up, right? Which is also creating job opportunities. But what you realize is there's a large pool. So it's really about, so the question now is, how do I stand up? How do I stand out in the large pool of applicants, right? That we currently have, right? Imagine in your school, how many of you are graduating just from your school? Now imagine other schools. Now imagine other schools in the same state. Now imagine in different states. So that already gives you insight into how that, again, a lot of people are competing for the same job, right? Another thing is it matters that you create a winning CV, right? Because the world is also going digital. Digital in the sense that I know that most of you are aware of a lot of automation tools. We are in the world of AI, right? I'm sure that most of you, or not all of you, are familiar with ChatGPT, you're familiar with DeepSeek, you're familiar with Gemini, Copilot, right? There are a lot of digital tools out there, right? And the reality is that recruiters also, they are also beginning to adopt digital screening tools to help them identify top talent faster, right? And it is called applicant tracking system, ATS, right? I'll talk more about it in my next slide, right? So because of that, you need to craft a winning CV that will position you, right? Number three is that, like I said, because of the job market, right? Because of the large pool of applicants, right? There's literally a lot of CVs to review. Currently, for me personally, I currently am recruiting for about 5, 6 roles, right? At the same time, right? And imagine I'm posting JD for those 6 roles, right? And for each role, right? Over 100 apply for those jobs, right? So let's even say 100 apply per role. That's 100 times 6, right? Times 6 rows. That's 600 candidates. right? That's 600 resume that I'm going to like review, right? So recruiters typically like they literally spend like 30 seconds to 1 minute if they really want to dwell on CV, right? 30 seconds to 1 minute, right? So again, even for a first glance, just like you're taking a quick glance, it's literally like less than 7.5 seconds, right? To reviewing CV. So if I'm already seeing your CV and I'm seeing is not encouraging, is not attractive, I literally move to the next one because I still have tons of resume to review. So this is why creating a winning CV matters, right? I think I mentioned that point of volume of applications. Sorry, I want to name it. Okay, yes. So it is important that um, your resume gives a strong, immediate, and a lasting impression. If not, your resume will never progress to the next stage, right? This slide is just basically showing us the applicant tracking system adoption trend, both globally and then in Nigeria. You will realize that over time, the timeline showing here is from 2020 to 2025. So 2020, 2026, I beg your pardon. 2026 is like a projected figure, right? You will see that globally and also in Nigeria, you could see like a rising trend at which employers are adopting ATS, right? Even startups that can't even afford maybe the big ones. Some of them are literally even subscribing to let's even leave subscription. Let's even talk about the free what's it called now? The free option that's available on LinkedIn, right? Even LinkedIn, there's a way recruiters can craft it to say, this is what I want to see. This is like important questions that they must answer. If this requirement is not met, automatically filter them out and send rejection email, right? That's even for startups that you can't afford the big tools, right? So they are leveraging on LinkedIn free options to even post job and then screen out candidates. So we're beginning to see that a lot of companies, they are not screening out CVs manually, right? Manually, if I'm still checking manually, maybe in quotes, God can touch my heart, right? Even if the CV is not presentable, maybe God can still touch my heart to say, but give her a chance. Maybe she will hear her first or listen to him or her first. Maybe listen to him or her first. You never can tell. But again, if it's a system that is literally shortlisting, in quotes, it is a factor of is either you do it well and get it and you get in, or you don't do it well and you are out, right? So this is also one of the reasons why I think it is important for us to also how do I want to say it? Position yourself to play well, to play smart in this competitive landscape that we're in, right? And the reality about ATS rejection, like I was talking about, because again, there are certain criteria or requirement that has been set already. So if you don't fit into that criteria, automatically the system just filter you out, right? So the reality is that 75% of resumes, they never actually get seen by recruiters. Like I said, once it filter out keywords, you don't get seen, right? That's number one. Number two is also that ATS is also ranked to reject based on relevance, right? So the relevancy is talking about the relevance of your resume to the specific job role, right? Most times, maybe for ignorance sake or lack of knowledge, most people they once they see a job advert, they just apply. So they are not checking the JD. JD means job description, right? Job description is talking about, it's like how do I call it? Job description shows you the job specification of a role. It details the job responsibilities, duties, the skill set that is required, the talks about basic educational requirements. Some job roles may go as far as saying that they want someone that graduated with first class, for example, or second class upper, or the specificity around, oh, it must be someone that studied chemistry. I am in a chemical supply chain company, right? I have rules like that, that the candidate I'm looking for is someone that graduated with chemistry, that has chemistry background, maybe chemistry, industrial chemistry, biochemistry, right? So if anybody that actually studies agriculture or agronomy or education, if anyone that studied those kind of courses apply, there's no way I'm going to take you in, because the educational requirement says that you must have this certain educational background, right? So, but people don't read JD. That's what we've realized. People don't read job description. The job description says these are the things we need, but people just apply for jobs. So you realize, and then you're then coming back to say, oh, I've applied for like 100 of job application and I am not contacted. I don't get a response. The truth is, you read the job description. Do you understand what the recruiter is looking for, right? So it's important that you apply. It is important that you read JD, you understand the JD before you then apply, because the honest truth is, it's better to be strategic in your application than to just do it anyhow. Because when you do it anyhow, it doesn't get you anywhere. That's just the honest truth. So the HCS systems are designed to actually like filter CVs, reject candidates based on the relevance of the resume to the specific role, right? So that is why it's important for you to optimize your CV to avoid you being screened out, right? And it is called tailoring your CV to the job role, right? I think for me, one of the things I usually advise candidates to say before you apply for any role, read the JD and be true to yourself. Ask yourself questions. This job role, I've seen this JD. Do I qualify? Right? If you see that you're less than 50, there's no point applying. Then the honest thing to do to yourself is to then prepare to become the type of person that is qualified for that JD, right? If you see that, okay, maybe you're still like hovering around 70%, right? You can still like put in, right? Because sometimes most employers, they are not looking for 100%, right? If they see that there is 70%, the question is, okay, the remaining 30% is something I can train on, right? Some roles, if it's entry level roles, employers can train on that, right? But if it's a really, really, really experienced role, they might not necessarily want to they might not necessarily want to train. They might be looking for someone that is already at like 90%, and then the remaining 10% can be learned on the job. So maybe the remaining 10% for an experienced hire is maybe adaptability to the company, which is something that can be achieved on the job. So so it is very important to not just apply anyhow, but to always optimize your CV to every job application, right? And why does your CV or resume matter here, right? It matters because your resume tell a story about you. Before a recruiter gets to meet you, right? They see your CV first before you even have the opportunity to open your mouth to tell them who you are, what you can do, what you bring to the table. Your CV is that statement document that talks about your background, your experience, your skill set, what sets you apart from other candidates. So when you're crafting your CV, what should I keep saying CV, but when I say CV, just know that I'm talking about CV or resume, right? So when you're thinking about your CV, when you're crafting your CV, you're always thinking about you're thinking about why should this company hire me, right? If your CV is able to answer that question of why should I hire you, there's a higher chance, right, that the employer will then be interested in meeting you, right? But if a recruiter is looking at your CV and is not seeing nothing is jumping at the person to say, I want to meet this candidate, then definitely it gets into the rejection box, basically. So, sorry, 1 minute. Can you still hear me? Hello, can you still hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so I was saying that you want to ensure that your CV tells a story that sets you apart from the other candidates, right? So your CV also matters because it should also demonstrate your fit for the role, right? For example, let's say, I am looking for let's say, for example, right, I am looking to hire for an HSC officer role. HSC is Health, Safety, and Environmental Officer, right? The person, for example, I'm also using the industry that I'm currently playing in, right? A chemical supply chain industry. I we have like a warehouse, a site, right, where we store chemicals, right? And then we are looking for someone that works on site, ensure that in terms of chemical handling, what's it called? Chemical handling, the person also ensure that there's no chemical spill, all of those things, right? So basically, in the job description, I will talk about the day-to-day, right? Responsibilities, right? The person is responsible for drafting like maybe a safety policy. The person must ensure that we comply to safety rules on a global standard and on a local standard, right? The person also is also it's also in charge of ensuring like there's a firewall protection, whatever, right? Then I'm going to the requirements, qualification. Maybe I want someone that's as someone that has someone that has knowledge about safety and health, right? Someone that I've had prior experience, right? In that specific role. Maybe I'm looking for someone that has certification in HSC, for example, right? Because in terms of regulatory, right, those are the things that regulators look at, the expertise, right? So if I now post that JD, I'm looking for someone that is fit for that role. I will not, if someone that studied admin and the role that the person has occupied over, let's say the person has like 2-3 years of experience, and the role that the person has occupied is actually admin manager role or admin associate or officer role, whatever the nomenclature is, right? I will literally, that CV will not jump at me because the person is not fit for the role, right? The person does not even have certificates in safety and environmental health, right? The person does not even have any experience, right? The person has not even played in the chemical industry, because that's another thing. You could even do safety in an industry. I might not be directly chemical industry. Though that if I see someone that have done safety in other industry, right? I can still like, okay, let me hear the person. Let me even see if the person is knowledgeable, right? But I'm saying someone that don't have prior experience and the person is applying for that role. So you're already setting yourself for failure, right? Because you're not fit for the role. So you must always be true to yourself, like I said earlier. Be true to yourself. No, the recruiter that drafted the job description, they know what they are doing, right? So they will want to stick to their requirements as much as possible. But if you feel like, okay, maybe you're 60%, like I said earlier, 60%, 70%, you can still like apply. You might not tell. I mean, who knows, right? Like I said, they might want to train the other part. And then, so yeah. But I'm saying if you're 0% or you're even 40%, don't apply. So there's a different question here. For example, you've done admin before, right? And then you're willing to transition to a new role. You're trying to transition into a new role. That's another conversation entirely, right? There are things that you then need to do to put you in front of the right people, right? Right? Which is something we'll talk about in the course of the conversation, right? So your CV matters also because, again, it opens door to different opportunities, right? Like I said, if your CV stand out and is impressive, it will definitely land you the job you're pursuing, because it will then get you to the next stage, which, depending on different organization, it could be interview, it could be case study assessment, it could be, I mean, whatever it is, right? But it gets you to that next stage, basically. I hope you can still hear me. I hope I'm still
Yes.
audible.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, all right.
Yes,
I don't know
we
if
can hear you.
Okay, I don't know if anyone has any question at this point. Has it been making sense to anyone? Are you guys learning? What do you think so far? I want feedback, please. Okay. Okay, great. So over the years, right, CV designs, or whatever you call it, maybe CV structure, has actually changed. Again, when I say CV, I'm also referring to resume, right? I'm just using the word interchangeably, right? So, I mean, historically, right, CVs used to be focused on duties, focused on qualifications. But the modern day CVs now emphasizes impact, right? Emphasizes, right? So employers are increasingly valuing results over responsibilities. They are valuing skills over degrees. Don't get me wrong, your degree is very, very important, right? Like I said, there are some roles currently that the specification is this, it should be like a first class or second class offer. There are job specifications like that, right? So, but the truth is there's increasingly value over skills. I mean, yes, value skills over degrees, I beg your pardon, and also clarity over length, right? So you want your CV to be very, very structured. I mean, I put in a graphical like example of a CV. There's also another slide where I'll talk more on how your CV should be structured, right? But instead of saying, oh, the truth is, the truth is, even if you graduate with first class, if you don't have skills that will position you for the job, there's a higher chance that you won't get a job, right? So emphasis is on skills, emphasis is on results. So when you're crafting your CV, you're not just saying, I I I called XYZ customers, I imputed data, I researched on XYZ. So beyond the responsibilities that is on your JD, right? You're then looking to put in action words that shows results, right? If you see a typical example in this resume that you have, you can see that in the experience as senior customer success manager, you can see the way the person coined the results, achieved an average 105% net retention rate on a target of 1 or 2% for 5 consecutive quarters. Right? So it's talking about the results. Anybody that wants to see this, anybody that sees this rather will be very impressed. I'm like, okay, I want to meet this person. This person is result driven. And the honest truth about the organization has shifted to looking for problem solvers, people that can solve problems, people that are creative, people that can drive, people that can produce results. That's what we are looking for, basically. So if I see CV like this, definitely it's an attraction, right? I don't know whether the person used AI to design it or whatever. Me seeing it first, it's already like, okay, this is jumping at me. This is attractive. This is interesting. I want to meet this person, right? So that's the point. Like the CV that gets you to the next stage. So if you then get to the next stage, we then prove if you are the fit for the role or not, right? So like I said, I already talked about it. Employers want to see relevance. They want to see that your CV is tailored to the specific job requirement, right? They want to see a CV that is well structured, a CV that is clean, not that it's all over the place, right? Personally, for me, I know it might be like a biased thing, but if your CV is not well organized, you're already giving me an impression that you're a disorganized person, and I don't think you might be fit for the role because maybe I don't even have the time to even train you to be organized. Like the basic requirement is in the first place, you're an organized person. Then we can then train you on some certain things. But at the minimum, can you be organized? Can things not be all over the place? Right? You want to have a clean, structured CV, a concise so by clean, I mean I'm not saying different types of fonts, i.e., there's Aria, there's Calibri, there's Time Romance, there's different kind of fonts on your CV. No, consistently maintain one font. If you want to use a Calibri, use Calibri. If you want to use Aria, use Aria, right? And then the font size also matters, right? You don't want to use 12 here and then you use 14 the other place and then you use 11, and be consistent with one font size, right? You want it to be visually appealing, right? Because it speaks about who you are. Remember, that's what we've talked about today, right? That before they get to meet you, it's talking about this is who this person is. So when I see your CV that is disorganized, I'm like, this person, again, the truth is your CV gives an impression. So the impression or the perception you're giving is that this person is so disorganized, this person is not clean, this person, we need a lot of work to get them up to speed. So why will I go for someone that I will literally need to do a lot of work, right? That the fact that the basic thing is not even there. I would rather want to go for someone that I know that okay, the basics are there. I just need to do some specific training. I don't know if I'm clear or if I'm able to communicate that point very well, but it's very, very important, right? Because again, you don't know who is reviewing your CV. You don't know if it's a perfectionist like I am that is reviewing your CV, or if it's someone that's well, some people can still say, okay, let me see here, but really the honest truth is 90% of the time, again, back to the point where I was saying that there are loads of CVs or resumes that we're actually reviewing. So there's no time. I'm seeing grammatical errors. I'm seeing a lot of things. I will literally we just move past and go to the next person. So it's important that you do your own homework, right? Do your homework so that you're being perceived right. Put a CV that defines that sort of defines who you are as much as possible, right? I already talked about the evidence of results. That was when I was talking about achievements, right? They want to see results over responsibilities. Skills, yes. And then I also talked about culture fit earlier. Does your CV actually reflect, again, how do you know if you're a culture fit, right? Like I mentioned earlier, for every job description, there's actually the behavioral aspect that they're looking for, right? Behavioral aspect is talking about the character of the person for that role, right? Some roles, for example, sales roles, they want someone, because you'll be talking a lot. So someone that can negotiate, someone that is confident, someone that communicates well, right? Someone that dresses well, right? It's the person is, I mean, I will literally choose that person over someone that can't even write or can't even communicate well. So that's what the cultural fit aspect is talking about. And it's always in the JD, right? It's always in the JD, right? And if you're not sure, you can also then research about the company. Every company have their core values, right? Then you can then tailor your CV to fit the cover. It's a lot of work, but if you do the work well, you're going to get the job. So moving on, the anatomy, I beg your pardon, of a winning CV. The first is contact information. You want to put in your name, clearly display your name, your full name. I know that for most students or graduates, when you are in school, you will think your first name is your. So the way you write your name when you're in school is that your surname comes first, then your first name comes last, which shouldn't be. I.e., for example, now my surname, I'm married now, so um my father's name is Ogufetimi, but my name now, my new name now is Sado, right? So I'm saying the way I'm writing my name on my CV is Gift Sado, right? But I know that in school, how you've been trained in school is to put your surname first. But this is welcome to the job market, right? Ideally, your first name comes first, right? If you then want to write your surname first, maybe you want to put a comma after if your surname is coming first, you put a comma. But ideally, put in your full name, your first name, Gifts, then my surname, Sado, right? So clearly display your name and let it be conspicuous, right? Put in your address. Why put in your address? I don't need to know the specific place where you live. I don't need to know, oh, number 27 or number 32 of whatever. So at the CV level, it's important to put the location you're in, i.e., what's it called? i.e., maybe Ikeja, Lagos, right? It's important because there are some roles that proximity to the location is very important. So the recruiter is looking for, is this person close to the office or to the warehouse where the person will be working, right? So they want to check that. And again, they will also put it in the JD, right? So for me, what I would advise candidates basically is say, if you know that you are living in a far distance from where was indicated on the JD, I would always advise that if you can find someone that lives closer to that place, you can use the CV. You can use the address rather, right? Or else your CV will literally be bounced, right? Because remember what I said, the HTS is structured in such that if you're not close to that place, you are not in close proximity to that location, your CV is literally fitted out. So you want to find someone that lives closer to the place, right? Get the address of the person and just put that address so that you get a chance, right? And then by the time you get the job, you figure out how you're going to work on it. Either that person is gracious enough to allow you to squat with them before you then finally get your own apartment, right? Or by the time you also then have a chance to be interviewed, you can then also mention it or something. But I'm not saying you should lie, but I'm just saying that always check the job description. Look for a way to hedge yourself against the HTS, right? So I've been in situations where I've removed. I mean, I used to. How do I put it now? So I've been in situations where I've had to use my sister's address right? And I had to, by the time I got the job, I had to stay with them for a little while before I then get my own apartment. So that's what I'm trying to say. Because again, if for example a job role is in Lagos and you're putting Abuja as your job, as your address, definitely. Except the company is willing to sponsor you and you bringing you into Lagos, furnish your apartment for you, or maybe the company even has like staff quarters, except that. But if the JD specifically states that proximity to the location is key, if you put Abuja, you will definitely, there's high chance that you won't be invited, right? So that's what tailoring your CV means, right? So yeah, definitely you have to put your phone number and your email address so that employers are able to reach you. Another thing that I know that is common, right, is especially for students, again, maybe because you're not in the job market, people don't read emails, right? People apply for jobs, recruiters have sent maybe interview invites, right? And this person has not read it, right? So it's important that you prepare for these things. Prepare, and I mean, thank God for um thank God for this kind of meeting, right? That helps you to prepare ahead, right? So I'm saying that there's a way you can turn on the notification of your phone such that when there's a new email, you receive notification and you're able to check, right? So keep close tab on your email addresses. It's very, very important, that because most times some don't even have the luxury of time to call you to say, oh, we sent an email to you. Some people do, right? But not everybody has the luxury of time. So you want to ensure that you're not left out because of little things like that, right? The next thing after your contact information, right, is your professional summary, right? You want to craft a compelling summary, right, that highlights your key skills, your experiences, your career goal. Basically, professional summary is telling, in summary, is talking about who you are and what you bring to the table, what you can offer. That's basically what your professional summary is, right? Then you then showcase your relevant skills, right? Again, the job market today, they are looking for both technical skills and soft skills. And in some cases, we actually prioritize soft skills over technical skills. Yes, you might have the technical skills, but I'm looking for someone that has character, someone that has integrity, someone that is innovative, right? Someone that can solve problem, right? So yeah, so it's good to always list out the relevant skills. Again, tailor it to the JD, right? Then we have work experience. So for work experience, you basically show a detailed overview of your professional history. For undergraduates or for undergraduates, i.e. you're still in school, graduates, maybe you just finished school, you're fresh into the market, into the job market, or you're currently serving, you don't have that relevant work experiences yet. But under this work experience bucket, I usually advise that you also can list out volunteer opportunities that you've had, right? Your volunteer experience, right? Your volunteer experience, the projects you've done in the past. These are the things that talk about your work experience. So you can actually put it under this work experience section, right? But again, like emphasis is on the fact that you're talking about your accomplishments, the things you achieved during those periods, right? Beyond talking about responsibility, can you focus on results, right? And when you're focusing on results, you're using action verbs, like I talked about earlier. right? Can we still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, ma. Yes, ma.
Abi, yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. So you're focusing on action verbs, right? And you know how to write powerful experience statement. It's good to use star method, situation, task, action, and then result. So instead of saying assisted with data entry, write managed weekly data entry for 200 plus client record, including improving accuracy by 30%. Again, you're not lying, you're just stating the facts. Instead of saying assisted, yes, you assisted though with data entry, but you've not shown results. Because for every goal, actually, for every goal of a task, there's a key result attached to it, right? The key result is that you are improving accuracy when you are entering those data. So you want to quantify it to say, I improved accuracy by 30%. If any recruiter is seeing this, they are attracted. They're like, okay, I want to meet this person, right? Instead of saying worked in a team, instead of just putting worked in a team to do this, just say collaborated in a 5-person team to organize student career fair attended by 400 plus participants. That way you've given an insight into, in my mind, when I read that, I'm thinking about, oh, 400 people, that must have been a lot to organize that kind of event. And for a team of 5, that means you people were really like doing a lot of work. So I mean, when I read that kind of power statements work experience, I want to meet you, right? I want to meet you. I want to hear more about that event, how you guys were able to attend. But if you just say worked in a team, worked in a team means nothing. Assisted with data entry means nothing, right? So instead of just talking about responsibility, can we talk about results that measure impact of the role you play, basically? You also list out education and certifications, right? So even for students, for example, um you can list out your educational background, BSc chemistry 2-1. Again, for example, if you actually graduate, if you don't graduate, if let's say you graduate with third class or pass, my advice, okay, my advice basically is it's best not to include it in your CV. Just put bachelor's degree chemistry. So by the time they now meet you, if they ask you, you can then say, oh yes, you graduated with third class or pass, but these are the things you have done beyond, so that when they see that CV, they don't define you by your qualifications straight away, right? And you know what, when I was working on early careers, I once worked with early career graduate training programs, right? Where we then ask people to talk about, if you don't have, if you finish with third class or pass, we then ask you to explain other things that you've done or why you didn't, something like that. So you want to justify why they should hire you, even though you you don't have a strong educational score point, right? So that we then talk about other things that you've done outside of school, i.e. curricular activities you've done that then display your relevant skill sets, right? So you can also have other sections where you talk about experience, volunteer experience, hobbies, all of those things. Um, Again, I think I've mentioned a lot of things about this point, how that it's important to understand the job description. If you understand the job description, you're able to identify that the skills that the employer is looking for, and you're able to then customize your CV, tailor your CVs to this job specification, right? Um, I think yes, I've also talked about researching the company. My time is up, so I'm trying to rush as much as possible. So this is a typical CV I love to always feature whenever I talk about topics like this, right? So you can see Yao Obeng is the name of the person, followed by the address, right? Accra, Ghana, phone number. So phone number, email address, they're easily reached, right? But some people will always put their pictures in resume. In CVs, maybe you can put it, but in resume, I don't advise, right? Right. Right. So you put next thing your education, University of Ghana, right? The programs, the academic standing. Another thing is, especially for people that maybe you want to do a role that you didn't study in school. For example, I have background, I studied zoology when I was in uni, but I'm not doing anything related to zoology now, right? So when I was transitioning to HR, one thing I do was to then include relevant courses. So I did a lot of courses. Again, you guys are students, right? So you don't even have to like look for paid courses now. There are a lot of free courses you can harness on Udemy, Coursera. I mean, there are a lot of, in fact, a lot of free courses online now. So do those courses and then you can then put in like a short um course content or course topic that is relevant to the role you're applying for, right? So for example, if I'm transitioning for HR now and I studied zoology, I can put it there, and then under the relevant courses, I can then put courses like talent acquisition and management, performance management, learning and development, payroll, right? So if I see relevant courses like that, I'm like, okay, this person has it shows that this person is passionate, true. You really want to transition to this, and you're already a step in the right direction, right? So that also attracts me to say, okay, even though you don't have background in this, but you've gone ahead to then read courses relevant to that role, right? So you have section where you also feature your projects, your achievements, your awards, right? Again, result driven candidates are really attractive, right? So you can see on this slide, you can see that this person talked about the group project they worked on, minimum capital requirements and mergers and acquisition, comparing the cases of the Ghana and Nigeria banking sector, right? You never can tell if I see this type of this person already worked on this project, right? You never can tell. Maybe it's one of the things I'm looking for, right? I have gotten a role before because of the project I worked on, and I am not kidding you. The only thing why I even got to that stage of interview was the person was interested in the project, and the first thing she asked me was an MD of a global company. The first question she asked me was, "Tell me about your project," because that was what was attractive to her, and that was how I got the job, right? So again, I want you understand the job description and then you put project tailored to it. So if a job description is talking about maybe they're looking for someone in banking industry, you don't want to put a project on a project on what's it called? Maybe you did a lab lab test on rats. You are not tailoring your CV, right? So relevant projects, basically, right? Then you also want to then talk about awards, right? Organizations are looking for smart people, right? So if you are someone that you've won award, yes, they're interested. Even if you know one award, maybe it could even be, one of those best it might not even be best graduating students, right? Or it might not be that, it might even be like a leadership award, right? Put it there, right? This then talked about work experience, leadership experience, right? Volunteer experience as well. Put it there. Yes. Um, I think that's basically it. Not sure why my slide is not moving. Okay. 1 minute. Okay. I think we've talked about it a lot. Common mistakes to avoid. There is no one size fits all with CV. That's the honest truth. For every job application that you want to make, ensure you tailor your CV. I don't advise that your CV layout should not be organized. I think I've emphasized that a lot today. Omit irrelevant personal details, i.e. putting your pictures, i.e. putting the full details of your address, i.e. putting your age. Well, if you are applying for government job, maybe age is very, very important. But if it's the regular organization, please, you will get to the point where they're asking you about your age. Because again, you don't want, yes, there's a global talk around age discrimination, right? But the truth is there's still a silent, again, there's still a silent bias against it. So you don't even want to shoot yourself in the leg first, right? So I would always advise they're irrelevant, right? They don't need your age before they they need to meet you, right? In some roles are actually age specific, right? Some organization may want a really young, maybe the organization is a young agile company, so they are really looking for really young and smart people, right? But I'm just saying that as much as possible, remove unnecessary personal details. Your unnecessary personal details are sex, gender, or your religion, whether you're Christian or you're Muslim. They are really not important, right? Focus on relevant personal details. I think I've talked about the rest. Let me just run. Another thing I want to also talk about, so I'm just highlighting percentage of job seekers who got their current job through various platforms, right? LinkedIn. I can see that one of the things that we one of the other things that another speaker is coming to speak on is LinkedIn, right? Because LinkedIn is like it's 5% of jobs, right? It's first of people, job seekers that got their current job through LinkedIn, right? Another bucket is referrals, right? But referrals now is talking about, I mean, you already have some experiences that then the people are endorsing you from, or people are saying, oh, this person is really good. Meet this person. That's referral, right? But for entry level fresh graduates like you guys, it's good to build your online presence, right? You want to position yourself for opportunities like this. You attend webinars like this. At the end of the webinar, go on LinkedIn, put a nice picture, put a good summary about what you learned, right? What you learned about the session, how, or maybe you, again, like I said, you want to be result oriented. You want to talk about, okay, this was the understanding, this is how what you understand now, and this is how it has impacted your CV, something like that. Like, just maintain that digital presence, because most time, even when I see CV, most times I'm curious to go and check their LinkedIn profile, right? So yes, people get jobs through LinkedIn, through company website, through job boards, through social media for some roles, right? For example, someone that is a social media manager, it's possible that the person will even see the job on Instagram, for example. So
Hello,
what to
mom.
do? Sorry, yeah, I'm running off.
Hello.
This is my last part. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, so I'm rounding off. What to do while in school, right? To build a standout profile, right? Get involved on campus. Do extracurricular activities. Don't just read, and that is all, right? You should be intentional about building a robust portfolio, right? What clubs did you join when you were in school? There are a lot of clubs. You will see student finance club. You will see, I mean, depending on the different departments you're in, there are different clubs per department. Join a club and be active there, right? Because these are the things that you can then feature on your CV before you get job opportunities, right? Because organization wants to see someone that has demonstrated ability before. So you don't even need to have worked in certain organizations before you demonstrate ability. So your participation in all these clubs, leadership roles, By participating, you're developing skills, and you can then showcase these skills on your CVs, right? Another thing I'm really keen on is seeking internship opportunities. While you're on break, don't just fav. That's the English we use. Don't fav while you're on break. What I mean by that is, don't just sleep, wake up, eat, watch movie, waste time on Instagram, and that is it. No, be intentional about your life. Look for internships. Look for internship, apply for them, even if it is not paid. Look for, even if it is not paid, go for it. You're building your portfolio, right? Aside from that, you also want to then seek out mentors, and then you want to ask them, is there something I can help you with? Is there any task you need that you can volunteer for? This way you're building your skills, and you're able to showcase, you're able to demonstrate abilities by the time it's time um to apply for jobs, right? And then also use those periods to also learn new courses, right? You want to know about the certifications that are required in the type of job you want to apply for, and then you begin to start pursuing the certification, shortcut courses. These are the way you showcase your knowledge about that job um before you get hired. So finally, on my slide today, this is like a reflection. What is one thing? So I am asking you now, I want us to reflect on this. What is one thing you will change about your CV after today's session, right? Are you going to review your current CV if you have one? If you don't have, are you going to craft a CV that can position you in the face of the right people? Are you going to identify areas for improvement? Are you going to tailor your CV to job requirements? Are you going to highlight key achievements? Are you going to optimize your CV for ATS compatibility? Right? Are you going to proofread and polish your CV? Are you going to seek feedbacks from mentors? Are you going to update your digital profile? So I want us to just reflect on this as we round off this session. So thank you so much, everyone. I think I will take a bow now. And if you have any question, I think I can quickly answer that.
Thank you so much, Ma. That was a wonderful session. We really appreciate you. And I would like to give at least one opportunity for anybody that have question. If you have a question, can you raise up your hand? Just if you, is anybody in the room that actually have a question right now? You have a burning question, you have a clarification you want to make. Can you just unmute? Okay. So that is gone because I just wanted to ensure that, okay, we don't really have people that have clarifications that is really burning. So, but even if you have further questions, you can send it on the community group page, and we'll reach out to Ash and give you answers. Kamara, drop your question or the clarification in the chat group, because when I asked, you did not say anything. Drop it in the chat group. So I think we've already mentioned week 2 challenge. But I noticed that some people were asking that was an authoritative content. Or we say an authority content. This has to do with a content that gives value. You are trying to position yourself as an expert in your field. So, for instance, you're a final year student in banking and finance. You can write something about finance, basic finance skills, something that you have learned in school, something that people need to know. Like, just position yourself as somebody that knows what he or she is doing in that particular field. So that is what authority content is. So, and that is the challenge for this week. Like what she said, she mentioned that you should showcase yourself on social media. So this is an opportunity for you to showcase yourself on social media. And yes, she also gave us some activities to do. I like the fact that our sessions are practical. So these are some announcements that we have. Tomorrow, okay, no, that's Monday. We're having an opportunity roundup on Monday, and this week we are going to be sharing postgraduate scholarship. There's a typo there. Postgraduate scholarships. And if you've not filled the TQN registration form, you will not get the email. Last week we sent about 50 of where you can get, learn skills. We created it. This week it's over 70 we are sending. Like Telegram group pages where they post scholarship, Zoom, how to apply, links to pages. Please, if you've not filled the registration form, do that immediately so that you can be part of our email list. And on Friday is our community meeting, and this week we're having a debate. Last week we had quiz. No, okay, sorry. Next week we're having a debate. This week we had the quiz, and it was very interesting section. So please, live on Telegram by 7 p.m. we're having a debate. Let us hear you speak. And we're going to be using voice notes to speak. We'll drop the question, then we'll see those who speak for and against. We can win freebies. And also, it's not just about, it's about you building your skill. Every activity we are doing, even if it is fun, if it is a webinar, if it is a serious one, the goal is to get you to build a particular skill and to learn, even in a serious way like today's one, or in a fun way like our community meetings. And next week, we are having another webinar on LinkedIn optimization. This is like, if you notice that where our webinars are, it's like a series. So, and it's intentional. We started with the first person TLB that talked about you setting your feet in digital space. Now we've learned how to position ourselves, our CV. And she already hinted it that LinkedIn is one of the highest when it comes to where people get their job. So how do you optimize the LinkedIn page? That is it. Before we now get to the last one where we talk about you getting remote job opportunities, where can you get it? We are preparing ourselves to get in a job. So, and like I said, if you have not yet registered, you've not filled registration form, please fill it. It is free. And kindly follow us on social media so that you can get our any updates that we post. By the way, we have skill spotlight session on Wednesday. So this will be a recorded session this time around. Last week we had a video that was shared. If you've not watched that video, please do well to watch it. So every other day we have an activity we are putting out just to make sure that this 1 month is intensive and you have all the skills you need. So the video that was shared during this week, I think is like a 10 to 15-minute video, but it is packed. It is something that by the time you sit down with it, you would need to literally study it. But this time around, the one we are sharing is about 30 plus. It's like a masterclass session that is recorded. Please take your time to watch these videos. And it is about career map. We'll be having a discussion on it on Telegram page on Wednesday. So please do well to get the most of our programs, our activities. And I'm sure that by the end of this project, you'll become better persons and you become better people and you'll be positioned for this the job market.